Hello, everyone. My name is Mehran Fardis. I'm an immigration attorney based in San Diego, California. I practice immigration in California and all the U.S. states and practically anywhere in the U.S. Whoever wants to come into the U.S., we can help them with. Immigration is my passion. I'm an immigrant myself, and so I love to give back whatever I've learned to my audience. This is kind of a value exchange story. Today, we're going to talk about a very common topic, a U.S. citizen or U.S. green card holder marrying someone outside U.S. and wants to bring that person inside U.S. This is called a spousal visa that happens through consular processing. So you're asking immigration services to give your spouse a visa for them to come into U.S. through a consulate or embassy outside U.S. obviously. So the consular processing is the name, basically the immigration name is an I-130 with consular processing. I-130 is a form that you have to file to get this process started. So I'm going to go through the technical steps first and then give you some tips about hidden rules about this process. So the process basically is when a U.S. citizen or a green card holder marries someone who is not inside U.S. First common question, does it matter where I do get married? It doesn't matter. For U.S. purposes, you can get married anywhere in the world. Your spouse could have come to U.S. as a visitor. You could have gotten married inside U.S., but that person left. There is no rule against getting married inside U.S. The filing happens when the person is outside U.S. So you can get married inside U.S. or in any other place where the marriage license is official and U.S. recognizes all marriage certificates. So you're married to somebody. Now, let's say you come to me and say, I want to bring my spouse over to U.S. What do? I say, okay, let's get the forms ready. There are two forms we have to fill out. One is called I-130. One is called I-130A. The I-130 is a form the petitioner, which is the U.S. person filing for the outside person, fills out. The U.S. person is telling immigration services, USCIS, things about themselves. I-130A is a form the beneficiary fills out, which is the person coming into U.S. It's basically their information, parents' name, their birth, dates and all that. So you have those forms. We fill out the forms for you or you fill them out yourself. Then you have to explain to USCIS that you're actually married. You have to provide supporting documents. So the step one of this process is filing documents inside US. You can also file this online. Establishing that you two are married. This is the first step of the process. The only thing the officer wants to know at that point is, are you really married? Is this marriage bona fide? Is this a good faith marriage or is this not? That's the first step the U.S. immigration wants to see. So you need to make sure that whoever looks at your file is convinced. They don't have to come back, ask you questions, second guess. Provide complete information off the bat. What do? You obviously fill out your forms. I always put a cover letter on top of the package. In the cover letter, I make life easy for the officer who's looking at this package. I make it very simple. I say, this is me, I'm the petitioner, I'm filing for this person, my spouse, my wife or husband, that's their name, your birth, everything has to be very simple. The officer looks at it, they know exactly what they're looking at. The cover letter says, what am I filing? These are my documents, these are my pictures. The officer knows where to go and what to look for. So you have a cover letter, you have your two forms. What do you put there? You put information the officer needs to see. If you're a U.S. person, you need to show that you're a U.S. person. You need to show your birth certificate, passport, IDs, things like that. The person coming in, same. The U.S., there's the residency, citizenship, birth certificate, passport, ID, all that. We provide records of this relationship, pictures together, tickets of people going, seeing each other, any record that's relevant. If you've lived together somewhere, copy of the lease. If you have any documents together, you show that. And we add everything in this file. We make it very clear and organized. What we do with this file is we file it inside US to a service center, processing center that will review your file. So this is the first step of the process. You file this document inside US, it goes to a service center inside US. And this from the time you file this petition until an officer sees this folder, it can range from 5 to 12 months, maybe more. The range is not clear. Right now, it's taking long. So this step happens inside US. At some point, an officer inside US Service Center will look at this file and determine if this is a real marriage. Once the officer decides, yes, this is a real marriage, they say approved, they send this file physically to the State Department. State Department now takes your file, and then they look for an opening in the embassy or consulate that you've designated in your file where your spouse is going to go and meet the US officer. So usually State Department does this in 3 or 4 months, but times change again. Then they send it to the embassy. Let's say I have a few clients in Turkey right now. So this, or in countries around Ukraine. This goes to who used to be Istanbul and Ankara, now is only Ankara for Turkey. Turkey now, Ankara handles a lot of cases in the region. So it goes to Ankara. Ankara has a long backlog. So it might be another 4 or 5 months for the embassy to find time to send you a notice to say, okay, now we have your file. What you need to do at that time is you have to go pay a fee. It's a visa fee. You pay them, then they open an interview for you. They send you a notice. They say, here's your date. So that comes then the second part of the process. So now the first part, you filed, you went to USCIS, somebody reviewed, approved, went to State Department sent to the consulate. Now they're sending you notice. You as a person keep checking your email and mail. And I had a client who received for 3 years notices from State Department saying, hey, your time is up. Come for your interview, pay your fee. That was 2019. The guy came to me a few months ago. It's like, oh, I think they sent me some emails. So I look at his file. They filed in like 2007. And his time came, which is, a big deal. You basically are getting your green card. And the guy didn't check his email. He's like 3 years past. It's like off the consulate send him multiple emails. Sir, your time is up. Pay your fee. Here's your appointment. Come get your green. The guy just didn't do it. And then so they say, okay, we revoke. You obviously abandoned this. So this is done. And then he comes to, can we revive this? It's like 3 years. You're not responding. I mean, this is obviously, it's an important matter. You have to pay attention to these things. So if you have something important like an immigration interview, you do want to check your email frequently and keep an eye on your mail. Normally they send you emails, multiple emails, but make sure you review that. That's a very important part. You go through the second step. The second step is the spouse getting interviewed by a US officer at a consulate or embassy. So to get to that interview, you have to do additional work. You filed the I-130, you filed the I-130A. Now you have to find something called DS-260 on the State Department's website. DS-260 is the equivalent of I-485 inside US. If you were inside US together, you and your spouse, and the US person is filing for the spouse, you filed 5 forms. One of them is the I-485, which is a request for basically residency, green card. DS-260 is the equivalent of I-485 outside US. Almost an identical form, has a lot of questions. And again, those questions are very important to answer truthfully. If you don't know the answers, there's a lot of yes or no questions on those forms. People just think, oh, I'm just going to say no. They all have meanings. If you don't know the answer, just say, I don't know, or talk to an attorney, because those answers are the ones that are going to get you at the interview. If you say something wrong, they're thinking you're lying, and lying is a big problem for immigration. Make sure you answer truthfully, you understand what you're answering. So DS-260 is a very important form to pay attention to. That is probably that is a time when you need to talk to an attorney. DS-260 is not something you just casually answer. It's the same as I-485 inside US. When you file these type of forms, talk to somebody. They're very tricky and they usually get you if you answer something incorrectly. And the consequences can be very severe. So I would not jeopardize making incorrect or false statements to USCIS at any time. You fill out the DS-260. There is another form called I-864, which is a financial sponsorship. The person who is the US person basically telling the immigration services, I am financially responsible for this person coming in. And it's a minimum kind of a standard. They're looking at the minimum federal requirements, which is about $24,500 a year income. Once you have that much income a year, you can sponsor somebody coming into US. If the US person sponsoring cannot or doesn't have that much income, they can bring a co-borrower. It's a pretty loose standard. It's almost like a car loan. You find I-864, you fill out the DS-260, you pay the visa fee, and then you get an appointment. There comes your appointment notice. It says, usually they give you 2 months heads up. In 2 months on this day, come to this office and bring these documents with you. Make sure you take those documents with you. When they're telling you what to do, just follow that. USCIS is very good with telling you what to do. If you just read the notes they tell you, it's very clear. Bring your passport, original. Bring your birth certificate, original. Bring 2 passport pictures, original. Just bring those. Don't bring copies. Don't bring, black and white Photoshop or photocopies. Bring what they're asking you to do. Take everything with you, just like any other important appointment in your life. Get there on time. Get there early. Dress well. Take everything with you. Keep it organized in a folder. Don't have things in a suitcase and try taking it out. Put it in front of the officer at the time of interview. It is not required for your US spouse to be at the interview, but it would be very nice if the spouse can be there at an interview. I just had a call yesterday. Lady was telling me that her husband had the interview at the US embassy. Not going to say which embassy, but their evidence that they had sent to USCIS for proof of the marriage was thin. They just had sent like 1 ticket of the wife going to see the husband, and there wasn't much else. So the officer naturally is wondering, is this a real marriage? So if you don't send your files correctly and don't have enough information, it's important that you're there. The officer wants to see if this is a real marriage or not. So she wasn't there. They didn't send enough information. The officer said, I cannot conclude this is a real marriage because you're not here and there's nothing here in your files. Sometimes they ask you to provide additional information. It's called an RFE, request for evidence. Sometimes they deny it, but so it's nice for the US person to be at the interview, even if they're not required. Once the interview is completed, and if everything is good, the non-US person will get a visa from the US consulate, a limited visa for a period of time that person can come into US. You get a visa on your passport. It says an immigrant visa. You get a sealed envelope from the US officer. You don't open that envelope. And so you go get your ticket. You have a visa now. You come to US. When you come inside US, this is you means the spouse who is the beneficiary, the non-US person coming into US. Once you enter US at a border of entry, you hand that envelope to the Border Patrol Customs CBP officer that's talking to you. You give that sealed envelope to that person. That person receives it, opens it, they process it internally inside the USCIS. And within a few weeks after your arrival in US, you'll get a mail, and that mail has a card in it, which is called the green card. And that's your permit to basically work, live, and do whatever you wish into US, inside US. However, you cannot do anything unlawfully inside US then or never, of course. But if you have any encounters with law enforcement while you're a green card holder, it can cause you substantial problems, not only to renew your green card later, but if you ever want to become a citizen. we can talk about that at some point. If you have any questions about those, always contact me. But these are the steps for a U.S. spouse to bring the non-U.S. spouse into U.S. You file inside U.S., you wait, you get an appointment with an embassy, you fill out the S-260, I-864, you pay the fee, you go to your interview prepared, you take everything with you, you get a visa, you get a ticket, you come to US, a few weeks later, you have your green card. This is a short version of about 2 years of time. I hope you guys enjoyed this brief exchange. This is obviously a complicated process. I do not recommend to do this stuff on your own, even though the forms seem simple. They're very tricky. We're always here to answer your questions. Hope you liked this video. If you did, please like, share with your friends, and I'm looking forward to having more conversations with you very soon. Have a great day. Mehran Fardis from San Diego.